All right, that was we can't end the Christmas portion of things without playing a little bit of Temptations here. That was Temptations Silent Night. You can never go wrong when you play the Temptations. And before that, we just heard Darling Love, the real Queen of Christmas, with Christmas Baby Please Come Home. Before that, 98 Degrees, This Gift, and we just heard Bob Rivers, Twisted Radio, 12 Days of Christmas, Ray Conniff Singers, the 12 Days of Christmas, and new song, The Christmas Shoes. All right, folks, as Mark Henry would say, looks like there's been enough talk. It's time for the main event. And this is the main event here, the WrestleCade Roundup. Woo! I want to welcome those that are tuning in here on WAG, on the regular radio. Unfortunately, the live stream is still on the fritz, but you know the old saying goes, the show must go on, right? Right. So, and big special shout out to those that are tuning in on Facebook Live. On my Facebook Live, I got my pom-poms, I got my megaphone, and shout out to Poms Express for this megaphone over here and these pom-poms. Custom made. Wrestle, the Golden Wrestle, the Pirate Head, and Cade in red. So, yeah, thought I'd get in the spirit here. I do want to throw in a little bit of bad news over here. Let's get all the bad news out of the way first, and then we can work our way to the good news here as I try to adjust my cameras here. We'll try to see if I can get it from as many angles as possible. But yeah, let's get the bad news out of the way first. All right, the bad news is, unfortunately, due to lack of money, or maybe not too much money over here, and due to a tight budget here, I wasn't able to get some of the wrestlers that I wanted to get, but the good news is I am thankful for the ones that I did get. You know, I had to get Big Show, I had to get Thunder Rosa again, and we're gonna get to everybody and that I got to in just a moment. But I also want to send a big special shout out to my boy Ty Van Canny, aka the Pinata Guy, and he's made all sorts of pinatas for different wrestlers, and I've completely lost track. I know he made one for Paul White, formerly known as Big Show, and formerly known as the Giant in WCW. But I don't lost track over here. I'm going to have to look back on his Facebook page and see how many pinatas that he's made. But he's made all sorts of tons and tons of pinatas, more pinatas than I can count. But yeah, he's let me share a room with them, and I paid by half of it for getting some meet and greet, which were the APA, which are Ron Simmons and John Bradshaw Layfield, and the other one was Rikishi. I almost forgot. Yeah, Rikishi. So yeah, unfortunately, I didn't get. Decided not to go to any of the podcasts that were there. I know Franchise for which Shane Douglas was there, and I know RVD's. I know Rob Van Dam's podcast was there. I know My World from Jeff Jarrett, he was there too, but I opted out, and they did the reunion with the Omega Wrestling, which gave birth to the Hardy Boys and Cameron Grimes, and what's his name? Yo, what's good, Jacob Owens, and Caprice Coleman. They came from Omega too, but yeah, I didn't get a chance to go to any of the extra events over here. I just went ahead with the events that got me into the door, which was one of the VIPs, and we're gonna get started with the Friday portion of things. On Friday, they had tons and tons of meet and greets, and we're going to be getting to them right here, right now. My very first stop of the day, my very first stop at WrestleCade 22 was Mr. Barry Horowitz. And I tell you, he was the hardest working man in all professional wrestling. He's been in WWE, he's been in WCW. In fact, I've got a lot of WCW alum, and my boy Ty Van Canny made a pinata for him for last year. And Tony Schiavone, he was a very, very important part of my childhood. He got me into wrestling, and he thanked me for that, and just deserve a big thank you for that. And this year's theme was Mayhem. This year's WrestleCade theme was Mayhem, which is a play of the old video game WCW Mayhem, a video game that I played a lot growing up. And I told them, I started reciting some of the lines that he did over on WCW Mayhem, and I started uttering the lines, "He's completely lost it. He's gonna kill somebody with that thing." That's the one that I remember the most of that. And another one was, "He's got a chair," and he told me himself that he was that he didn't remember too many of the lines that he did, but you never knew what autograph. I got the autograph over here. Won't believe what he wrote over there. For those of you watching on Facebook Live, I know it's mirrored and all, but look what he wrote based on the context. "He's got a chair." And since I got Sting last year, I had to get Tony Schiavone. We're uttering, "It's Sting!" But yeah, other wrestlers that I met that Friday was Jordynne Grace. My girl Jordynne Grace. She's one of my top favorites, and I don't know why, but Impact Wrestling has the best women's division out there. I know it's been a while since I watched Impact Wrestling, but Jordynne Grace is at the top of my list as far as the Impact Wrestling women's division is concerned. And I had to get this next one. The Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart, one of the greatest managers around. And my girl Rosa would probably know about this, but he was part of the Gentrys. You know the song, "I Keep On Dancing"? He was a member of the Gentrys before he got into wrestling. And he's one of the best wrestling managers around, and he wrote some of the great theme songs, including Ted DiBiase's theme song, Bret Hart's theme song, Shawn Michaels, and a lot of theme songs for WCW superstars, including Disco Inferno, Billy Kidman. The list goes on and on. So, yeah, he's one of the greatest managers I know. What's good, Houston? And the next one is legendary wrestling valet Baby Doll. She's the sweetest woman. I love her to death. And Jamie Senegal, daughter of the late great Daphne, and she's part of Impact Wrestling as well. So she too is one of the sweetest ladies that I've ever met. All right, now we're getting into the meat and potatoes of this, and this is the Fan Fest here. And like I said, I met all sorts of wrestling figures here, but unfortunately I didn't get a chance to meet them all. And of course I got my 24/7 title, and everyone was trying to play around, if you would, tried to play along, if you would. They tried to get a referee, and it's like, "You want this title? Better come and get it." You know what I mean? Gotta get a referee first, and then come find me. And for those of you that were keeping up with WWE, they recently retired the 24/7 championship. Granted, Nikki Cross happened to throw the title in the trash can, but granted she missed. But my boy Ty Van Candy made a suggestion how they should have retired the title. What they should have done was should have just donated the title over to one of the Make-A-Wish kids. And you know that WWE is known for collaborating with Make-A-Wish Foundation and making kids with cancer and terminally ill kids make their wishes come true. And they should have donated that very title over to one of the Make-A-Wish kids. You know what I mean? And they'll be now forevermore be the 24/7 championship. And I thought that was a nice gesture. Although my boy Eric Lima, big special shout goes out to you, buddy, in case you're listening in. He made another suggestion that they should have retired. R-Truth should have been the title should have been retired with R-Truth, and you know, he's a multi-time 24/7 champion, and he made the title mean something. And you know, despite the comedy, that was another suggestion. But I like the Make-A-Wish suggestion better. But like I said, it's WWE's decision, and you know, what more can you do? All right, my first stop of that day was, well, it's Paul White. Yeah, it doesn't sound right. He's no more BS. He ain't no more BS for nothing. But he was my first stop of the day, and like I said, his hand was huge, and he was one of the figures that got me into watching wrestling on a regular basis, and yeah, it was interesting. And I met another fellow WCW/WWE star in Lex Luger. And let me tell you, I saw the biography WWE Legends of this, and it's really powerful stuff. I'm so glad that he turned his life around, and he's starting his ministry, and he and fellow wrestler and fellow pastor Nikita Koloff started this camp called Man Camp, which I'll get to in a second here. And so those were that was very sentimental to them. And then I met my girl Amber Nova. She loves her some Power Rangers, and I had to get her autograph with one of her Power Rangers outfits over here and do it for Jason David Frank. You know what I mean? And time and time again, I had to bump into this guy, the Mr. Dave Wills, better known as the "It's the Will We Do It" guy. He makes frequent appearances over at WrestleCade, and I'm so glad to have him. And he's a very, very cool dude. Big special shout goes out to him, buddy. Next I met, unfortunately I didn't get an autograph from her, but I did get a photo of her, Molly Holly. And for those of you that have been watching WWE, she was basically the anti-diva, if you would. And the divas back in the day were known for their glamour, but not Molly Holly. She was against that. She was basically anti-diva, if you would. And then she would later team up with Hurricane Shane Helms as Mighty Molly. That was pretty good too. Then we have Julia Hart, the pretty face of the House of Black. In fact, she's going to be making another appearance over at this upcoming War Games, if you Acts of War Games too, this upcoming January. So yeah, I had to get her, even though she's no longer a cheerleader. She is the pretty face of the House of Black, and so I had to get her. Next, we have one of the toughest women in wrestling today, and that is Tessa Blanchard. And I know she's been taking a hiatus from wrestling, and can't wait to see her back in the ring once again. Who knows when she's going to be back in the ring? I heard that she made a couple of appearances here and there in recent months, but I'm not exactly sure. But still, it's good to have her. To see her back at WrestleCade. And the next one, I love this girl to death. She was one of my favorites. She made a rare appearance over at WrestleCade, and this is Cherry. And my girl Rosa, if she were a wrestling fan, she'd fall in love with her because she's a 1950s girl, and she was paired up with Jimmy Snuka Jr. and Cliff Compton, both of whom I think have retired from wrestling. I know that Cliff Compton retired from wrestling altogether, and Jimmy Snuka Jr., who knows where he is. But those guys were known as Deuce and Domino, respectively, and they were 1950s greasers, and she was the roller skating Cherry, and if I remember correctly, she was Deuce's girlfriend and Domino's sister, kayfabe wise. But yeah, she was the sweetest woman, and I just love her. She loves 50s music in real life, and like I said, I'm forming an acapella group specializing in 50s and 60s tunes, and I'm just falling in love with her. Something about her just like clicked. I was completely invested in their characters, and they were even WWE Tag Team Champions at one point. But it was fun while it lasted. I think WWE dropped the ball on them. And one suggestion I do want to make is that had they teamed up with Honky Tonk Man and/or Jimmy Hart, I think they would have capitalized on their tag team championship reign. I think they would have capitalized on how popular they were going forward. But what more can you do? That's just me and me alone. And like I said, I love that woman to death. Next we have, I meant to get her last year, but I'm so glad that I got her this year. And that is Mickie James, one of the biggest trailblazers in women's wrestling in recent decades. And like I said, she made an appearance and became making appearances in flip-flop back and forth between WWE and Impact Wrestling. And she even got the Impact Wrestling title with her at last year's Royal Rumble. And so, yeah, and all the contributions that she made in wrestling, yeah, I just had to get her. Make up for lost time, if you would. And next comes Samantha Starr. I love her to death as well, and she's the daughter of the Perfect 10 baby doll, and she was completely embarrassed by her mom's dancing with at the previous night's show with at the Throwback Throwdown. And I just had to get her. But like I said, I'll never forget the first time I went to WrestleCade back in 2016. I got one of the first pictures I got was a group of ladies. It was Samantha Starr, Sahara Seven, Maddie Bax, and Maria Maddock. Next is the second ever women's champion in Nyla Rose. She's the sweetest. I love her to death. Also transgender. Jamie Senegal's transgender as well. And so, like I said, I just love these two women to death. Next comes viral sensation Luigi Primo. I just had to get him. He was a viral sensation, and he was seen in a wrestling match. He competed in a wrestling match while tossing a pizza. And I don't know about you, but I'm getting hungry for some pizza right now. I'm still waiting for him to make that lovely cheese pizza just for me. She's also a sweetest woman, and I'm so glad that I met her. She was on my radar for quite some time for the past several months, and that is Candice Michelle. Too bad she didn't bring her magic wands with her, but now I want to play SmackDown vs. Raw 2007, and her magic wands played a huge role in one of the storylines exclusively to the video game. And I really wanted to see her do some magic, but she's so sweet. And of course, the biggest one, Thunder Rosa. I'm sorry, I just had to get Thunder Rosa over there. She, like I said, something about her last year when I went to WrestleCade last year just clicked, and she immediately became my top favorite female wrestler, active female wrestler, as of the time of this recording, as of the time of this broadcast. Now, say what you want about Thunder Rosa, but when it comes to her fans, she's absolutely engaging. And in fact, she automatic recognized me while we were filing in, while we were waiting in line for the to get into WrestleCade or get into FanFest. She immediately recognized me. She gave me a hug, and I did. It just clicked right then and there. In fact, if you look at her latest vlog, excuse me, I'm even featured in the thumbnail, at least my megaphone. But she saved me for last. We did like a little minute of cheer. When I said WrestleCade. When I said Thunder, you say Rosa. It's just, she really loved me, and I will send a big special shout out to both Thunder Rosa and her team for inserting me into her vlog. That really made my day.
Look what I got here. All right. When I said WrestleCade, yeah. When I say wrestle, you say gay. Wrestle. Wrestle. When I say thunder, you say Rosa. Thunder. Rosa. Thunder. Rosa. Yay!
Say what you want about her, but when it comes to her fans, she's absolutely engaging, and her line's not long for nothing. You know what I mean? She had one of the longest lines of that day. So yeah, that's saying something about how over Thunder Rosa is and how engaging she is. And next I just had to get him, Jake the Snake Roberts. For some reason, I want to get everybody that's featured on WWF WrestleFest, the arcade game. And it's my all-time favorite arcade game. And I never get tired of hearing his story about the Cobra spot with Macho Man Randy Savage, and how he was questioning that whether or not it's been fixed. Never get tired of hearing that story. And then Maria Kanellis was next, and accompanied alongside her man Mike Bennett and their partner Matt Taven of the Kingdom. And they weren't going to film a video, but unfortunately they got pictures. So they were doing a little mini cheer, if you would. But still, it was pretty fun. I just had to get Maria Kanellis. It was such a treat. And then we have Nikita Koloff. Yeah, one of the classiest class acts in all of professional wrestling. And like I said, he's a pastor, and he runs Man Camp. It's just it's like a retreat. He and Lex Luger run this retreat, this Man Camp, to just try to focus on being a better man, being a better husband, being a better boyfriend. Just like I said, being a better man in general. And this is something that I'm probably gonna look into because my life needs a little bit of sprucing up anyway. And then we have Crowbar, Daphne's former tag team partner. And like I said, I just had to get him because Daphne passed away last year, and I just had I just had to get him. And I just had to go the same way that I did with the attending members of the Wyatt family, which were Eric Redbeard, Eric Rowan, and Matt Sherr, aka Braun Strowman. And last but not least, the Baddies, featuring Red Velvet. If you're watching AEW lately, Red Velvet's been kicked out of the Baddies. The Baddies consists of Layla Gray and Kiera Hogan. I only got a picture of them, a photo of them, not an autograph, but I was running low on money. But like I said, I was thankful for the ones that I did get. But like I said, I had a long list, but I just had to wing it. I tried experimenting winging it, but like I said, I didn't get everybody on my list, but all that matters is that I had fun, right?